Hey guys, my name is attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III. I'm with Disability Resolution PA. What we're going to be doing today is basically going through and doing a lot of fun stuff. We're going to be going into unique areas of Social Security disability law, talking about them specifically when it comes to hearings, when I'm not actually on the phone running questions with you. But a few administrative tasks right up front. I need you to understand we have some amazing, amazing sponsors. One of the first sponsors that I really like is Second Wave Masks. Second Wave Masks, they'll make you a custom mask. They've got multiple different sizes you can choose from. They have those little metal things in the nose, which I really like. And one of the big things about this mask that is really great for me, yeah, okay, so the custom fabric is cool, but whatever, the bottom line is that they don't slip down on your face. They don't, do this thing and then all of a sudden they're below your nose. So the big thing is this: if you are into masks that fit and they're not a pain in the butt and they're easy to go ahead and maneuver and basically pull off, pull on, stuff like that, because I'm in and out of my car all the time. I have to go to the post office, I have to get something from a claimant, yada, yada. I use this. Also, for all the people that were with the field that I'm in, howdy Spock, all the people that were in the field of Social Security disability that, whatchamacallit, that I'm in. Oh, so is this, well, let's see, is this the right channel? So here's the deal. So for all of the different Social Security disability attorneys out there and employees of the private field and employees of the Social Security Administration's field who were taking bets, because I mostly work with homeless and low income, as to who of the attorneys would be found, who would get the virus first, I'm actually happy to report I know a bunch of attorneys who have gotten the virus, and I'm not one of them. So everybody made bets that I would be the one who would essentially become sick first. And, I can't say anything mean because I'm on YouTube, but I win. Anyway, so the bottom line is this. I just want to go ahead and talk about, oh, hold on, my doggies are having a discussion below the desk about who's going to get another treat. And let me see if we can fix that. There's yours. Sweetie. Sweetie. Come here, Chub Chub. Come on. Right here. Right here. There you go. Grab that. All right. So the other sponsor I want to talk about, and keep in mind, I just want to say something else. In the near future, this green screen is going to be different. The green screen is going to be actually a backdrop with two particular logos staggered throughout it, kind of like if you were to go to one of those big play yada yadas, for basketball or hockey or whatever, and you would go in front of one of those backdrops. It's going to be two logos. Logo number one is the Disability Resolution PA logo, which is the logo for the law firm. The number two logo on there is going to be spaceconstitution.com. Now, I know a lot of you guys know what spaceconstitution.com is. It's basically the creation of an open source constitution that we as humans can go ahead and figure out what would be the best laws, the best liberties, the best freedoms, the best rights that humans should have upon starting a new constitution for a space-based nation. And it doesn't really even need to be a space-based nation. Like if there was a new island that popped up on Earth, we could utilize it for that. But the point is, we're going to be on Mars. We are on Mars, in the sense of little gadgets and things like that. But we're going to actually have humans on Mars in the very, very near future. And that this is going to be used as leverage to give future humans better rights, better negotiation right up front, because the politicians aren't creating it. It's us, the people, who are actually creating this future constitution. And the way it works, just to give you a quick summary, and then we'll go into the disability law stuff, is that basically there will be stages. Okay, so there's 50 people in the population. There's the first space child born. There's the first, super high-end technology that makes a stage. And at each stage, new rights become available to those individuals, because the bottom line is, at the very beginning of this constitution, of this society, you can't give everybody everything, because not every right would be able to be made, or they'd be able to do. All right, so real quick, what I want to go through here is that basically there are stages where more rights are added, and each one of those stages has a new constitution applied to it. So that it's kind of like one of this, it's a taxonomy. If you achieve this, you get to have these rights, which is a really, really cool thing. Okay, now that's spaceconstitution.com. That website is taking shape. It's taking me a while to do it because, I'm constantly working. But in the future, if you guys want to go ahead and support that, I would be really, really excited about that. I'm also going to be opening up one of those, GoFundMe thingies for spaceconstitution.com. And so basically there's going to be four total GoFundMe things that we're going to open up for people to be able to donate to. There's going to be one for spaceconstitution.com. 2 for a future bigger office for disability resolution PA. Here's the idea. When I started, I did not have a traditional office. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. It's insanity. I went to Home Depot, which actually doesn't have the better fold-out tables. The better fold-out tables come from Walmart. So I went to Home Depot and I bought one of those gray, if you know what they are, about 10 years ago they were selling them, but gray fold-out tables. And they sold them until about 5 years ago, and then they got rid of them because they came out with a better table. And what they did was I used one of those. I went to homeless feeding events with different pastors and things like that. And I would work with the homeless at those events to get them found disabled. I was so successful at doing this that local groups, local, Samaritan resource centers and homeless help centers and things like that, they grabbed me and then basically put me into different offices at different times throughout the month. And then that grew, and then that grew, and then that grew until I had, more of the traditional office features and things like that. So I did not have a regular start. Like most people are like, oh, you just have an office and then magically you begin yada, yada, yada. Well, I didn't have that. I didn't have the money for that. So one day I'd actually like to get a bigger office, and then I'd like to have a couple of little offices basically set up so that future people, future generations with ideas, no strings attached, can go ahead and use that office to go ahead and push forward a new company idea or something like that. And here's the idea behind that. A lot of people don't help people, and that's a problem because we kill off innovation in that regard. If we could have a system for people to foster brilliant ideas, brilliant companies, like I think spaceconstitution.com is a brilliant company. I think it's amazing. It's probably going to be a 501c3, but I have no idea at this point what the legality of its structure is going to be. But I think that's brilliant because it forces the future of the human race to demand a better living for its future generations. I can't think of anything more important than that. I literally can't. I mean, that's like, it's bigger than the cure for cancer because it's literally the rights that people will have. That's huge. And when you think about, oh, we live in America, we have all these rights. Not since 2001. We lost a lot of them. All right, but that's a whole different yada yada. And I'll be making videos on that at some point in the future. Now, here's the thing. We're transitioning now. I'm putting the phone number up there. That is the phone number for you to be able to call in if you want to go ahead and basically have me run hearing questions with you or answer some unique claim or anything at all that you want to go through. If you, if you want to just have me go through some basic things with you about what's happening with your claim, that's fine too. All right, I also want to talk about what is the future of the videos that are going to be coming out. As you guys know, I think it was around 6 today, so about 2 hours ago, what basically happened was I released a video that's about the top 200 ALJ hearing-based questions. And so the problem with creating this is that basically a lot of attorneys are going to be really unhappy and aggressive towards me releasing this. I've received what the heck are you doings from other people. And the whole thing here is that I want to utilize this in a selfish way because I can send my claimants to go watch them and then I can work with them and get them going at a much higher level. It's also something where I get a lot of questions, especially from people in Texas and California, about alternative questions that exist out there. Hold on, we've got a phone call coming in. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Would you like to go ahead and run hearing questions or have me answer something relative to a claim?
I'd like to talk to you about something relative to a claim. I recently had an ALJ hearing, and it went quite interesting, and I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Sure.
Well, the lawyer was a pretty, I don't know. Let me tell you the story. So the day before the hearing, my attorney called me. I have bipolar disorder, and my medical records go back 20 years, like impeccable. Medical history and all that stuff. I got the letter from the SSI psychologist and all that stuff. And it was like, I thought we could talk about my case theory, and so he asked me why I can't work. And I told him, all the stuff related to bipolar disorder, things like difficulty with planning and prioritizing, and organizing, and retention, something, whatever I read or listen to, and I'm just not dependable. And so, as he was going through some of my financial records, he was like, well, because to be honest with you, because I've been working for the past several years, but nothing over $1,000, just part-time stuff, mostly working at schools, and I also worked as an ASL interpreter.
What'd you do at schools, though?
I was a paraprofessional.
Okay, define what that is. Yeah, most people aren't going to know what that is. Yeah.
I got that. I work with autistic children in a self-contained classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And usually a person will be assigned to a particular student. My student was nonverbal and autistic and put himself in danger quite a bit. And it was rough. But I was only working 12 hours a week. And even then, I was dying. My symptoms were getting in the way. It was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But despite being scheduled for so many hours, I was supposed to make this much money, but I didn't. And my attorney was like, well, how can you be scheduled for so many hours but only receive this much? And I told him, well, it was because my absences were excessive. You know, I'd be missing 70% of work. And this was steady over the past 20 years. You know, things like that. And I've been, hospitalized and all that stuff, all those reasons behind that. So anyway, the next day was my hearing. So I was sworn in. The attorney opened and asked me about all the stuff I just described to you, why I can't work, my case theory, why I created excessive absences, etc. And as I said before, we had worked out a case theory that I'm undependable. And so he asked me, hey, I was, this is during the hearing, and he said, I see by your work history that you're supposed to make this certain amount of hours, but you only got paid this amount. Why? And I told him exactly as I told you before. And so after that section, the judge started talking to the vocational expert, and he started talking in acronyms. And I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
But after about 30 seconds of that, the judge looked at my financial records and said that, oh my gosh, this particular month, I see that you made over 1,000. And that was, I thought that was it. I thought it was over right then. I thought I was done. Mm-hmm. But we went on. So as the judge kind of was thinking out loud and sort of going over some things, and then started talking to the vocational expert. And they both saw that the highest level of pay that I've gotten over the last 10 years was as an American Sign Language interpreter. And so the judge asked the vocational expert, mm-hmm. what would a hypothetical person do with that background? What kind of job would that person get in the national economy? And the vocational expert said, well, I don't remember. He mentioned two things. One of them was like a worker in the laundry. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, So now it was time for the attorney to ask questions. Mm-hmm. And so that is, ask questions to the vocational expert. So the judge said, okay, I've got these two exhibits in front of me. One of them is the report from the SSI psychologist, and the other one is a residual capacity form, mm-hmm. The questionnaire, the supplemental questionnaire. And then he said, okay, counsel, do you have any questions for the vocational expert? And the attorney said, well, I'd like to turn your attention to what I just mentioned, the paycheck discrepancy with the hours. And the judge cut him off right there. no, I'm going to have to cut you off because I can see that, the paycheck money versus the amount of hours you schedule. Do you have any more questions?
Wait, say that last part again. What was that last part again? The judge cut in because why?
The judge interrupted because the attorney wanted the vocational expert to look at what he had just talked about with me, which was with the amount of money or the amount of hours that I was scheduled to work versus the money, the paycheck money that I got, which was lower, which backed up my our claim that yes, indeed, he's got excessive absences and everything like that. And the residual capacity form stated that I would miss something like 70% of work a month.
Okay.
And
so let me just summarize what you're saying real quick so that these guys know what's going on. Your attorney was going to try and say that it was a failed work attempt because there wasn't enough earnings per month. And the judge was cutting in, trying to push the identity that this wasn't a failed work attempt, that this was a true work attempt and should be considered. And that because the type of job it was, they were looking at, okay, are there semi-skilled SVP 3 and 4 jobs available for comparison at element 5 of the 5-step sequential process? So your attorney was trying to say, hey, judge, we shouldn't be considering this. Let's just do unskilled work at element 5. Now, how old are you real quick?
I'm 51.
So at 51, did they try to grid you out?
No, they did not.
Okay. Why not?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Look, do you mean? Why don't you explain to me what you mean in terms of that conversion?
So let me ask you this: all right? So you just had your hearing, right? It was just a couple of days ago or something.
It was last week. Yeah.
It was last week. Okay, so you don't have a decision yet. Let me ask you this: did your attorney? Okay, so what were the questions? Because obviously your attorney was going to attack the off-task time, and let me give you an example of that. For those individuals, and you said 70-something%, you would be off-task by the RFC, the residual functional capacity form. So let me slow that down to explain what that means. In Social Security disability law, there's this thing called off-task. If you are more than 10% off-task, and remember, each 8-hour job has federally protected breaks. Like you get a 10-minute break there, you get a 30-minute break there. You have federally protected breaks. So what you need to know is that as you go through this process, because you have federally protected breaks, that's 10% off, right? Now, if you go over that 10%, what happens is you are now likely going to be terminated from that job. Now, I want to explain this, though. That's the standard. But what most attorneys do not bring up, I don't know why. I don't know why I do it because, I'm a pain in the butt. But what most attorneys do not bring up is that most, if not all, jobs have what's called a training period or an orientation period. I think of training periods and orientation periods as two separate things. To me, orientation period is basically where they're giving you the administrative yada yada. And the training period is where you're sitting, and learning how to do the actual job. And then you have actually working. During the administrative orientation period and the training period, the 10% off task variant, the metric, is not accurate anymore. Meaning if you're over 10% off task, you're not employable during regular work period. But for the orientation and for the training periods, if you are, not paying attention almost at 100%, right? Because if you're training and missing things, then de facto you'll be fired because you did not learn the basic fundamentals required to go ahead and do the job because you were too much off task. Yeah, most attorneys don't go into that. I go into that. I'm guessing your attorney didn't go into that. What questions did your attorney raise to the vocational expert and the ALJ?
Well, he started to ask. Well, he had two questions. Both of them were cut off by the judge, and they were just suggestions to look at number one, that residual. The residual functional capacity form, and number two, the SSA psychologist report, which states, pretty straight up, yes, he's not going to make it on a per week basis, and both times the judge cut him off and I'm not sure why. I at first I thought it was because, and both times the judge said, I'm going to cut you off because, and then he sort of said, like in the case with the SSA psychologist report, I'm going to cut you off right there because I see that the SSA psychologist report says that the psychologist reports he can't remain on task or, will have trouble keeping a job, And each time, the judge just cut him off, didn't allow him to answer, and that was it. But later, the attorney said that it was incredibly important, since it was being recorded, that he, quote, caught the judge admitting those two things. And because of those things, I think he had a very optimistic and positive view of what the outcome was going to be here.
Okay, so
that was it.
Couple questions. First and foremost, when did you apply versus when did you stop working? Were you still working when you applied?
I was.
Okay, so now I've been doing this long enough to know this situation. I've been in this situation. I was in this situation 2 months ago with not an Orlando judge, but a female judge who was a real whip cracker. She was aggressive. Jeez. So here's the deal. I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, imagine my little glass ball here, my little crystal ball here is my experience ball. My experience ball is telling me that you were working when you went to the consultative examination, medical appointments for both physical and mental on behalf of the SSA at the DDS level. Is that correct?
I was working part-time, yeah.
Okay.
That was when I was working that 12-hour, and as you said, not a work attempt. I mean, I made through that.
All right. Well, your attorney should. All right. I'm gonna.
You said, the absences were quite excessive.
I'm gonna bullet point exactly what you should have done. You should have worked that job for a little bit, then quit, gotten a letter from them that said you couldn't do it, the reasons why. It would have been classified as a failed work attempt, and then transitioned to another job with another company like that if you still wanted to work during the period in which you were applying. If you didn't work, it would have been a much stronger claim. And here's what the judge was saying. He was saying, attorney, I don't want to hear that the RFC is accurate because he had a true work attempt while he was going ahead and basically getting this RFC from the medical experts. So the medical experts said, look, this guy can't work. He can't do anything. It's totally out of the realm, blah, 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 right? And then what happened was basically you were still working part-time. And what the judge didn't have, this is what PO'd the judge. The judge didn't have in the record, specifically your attendance record at those jobs and a letter from those actual, your bosses or your managers, or whatever you want to call them, your supervisors, that said why you couldn't do that job. Had you had that, you had this hearing last week. So if you want to play Captain Save a Claim, you should go and basically get a letter from your supervisors that said, this is why he couldn't do his job. This was his, his attendance record, hence why he was terminated or he was let go or he left or whatever. Go get that letter immediately because it validates the reasoning for your attorney to be able to say the RFCs are accurate. Right now, as the record stands, your RFCs said you can't do nothing, but your job said you could. And that's the break in logic.
Even on a part-time basis, there's just no proof, is there? Is that?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. The IRS outputs a couple of documents. It's the summary earnings query, the detailed earnings query, and the new hire query, and then sometimes a certified earnings query. Summary earnings query tells you per year what you earned. New hire query tells you what companies in what years and what you earn. New hire query tells you, which is what you're going to have because this was in the past 2 to 3 years that you were working this job because you were still applying and working at the same time, even though it was part-time. The new hire query will say what quarters you worked this job and how much you earned at each quarter. So the bottom line is, other than that evidence that you worked at that place, other than the evidence that they know what you earned per quarter, they don't know what limitations you have. They have no proof. They have nothing. They needed something from a supervisor, from somebody that worked with you. And here's the thing too. This claim would have had legs to it if it had objective evidence from third-party sources that are relevant to your vocational past, your job that you were working, that showed that you were unable to do that type of job. Now, did they offer additional jobs that you could potentially do?
Just the hypothetical type of positions.
Did they give 3 positions, 3 jobs?
Yeah, just the ones that the vocational expert referred to. Laundry. One of them was laundry worker. I can't remember what the other one was. But that was it. The hearing really didn't last all that long. It was like 20 minutes.
You had a 20-minute hearing?
Yeah.
How does that work? I've never had a 20-minute. I had a 20-minute hearing one time when the judge had to leave for some problem that they had in their life. But a 20-minute hearing, what kind of questions was the judge asking you? What kind of questions was the attorney asking you?
The only questions the judge asked me was what I did, what job was I working in 2018. And that was ASL interpreter. And that was when he asked the vocational expert, based on that, what would be a good job for a hypothetical person. And that was it. Yeah. Right after he cut the lawyer off twice, he closed the hearing. That was it. I mean, he didn't seem mad, but the hearing was over like 3 minutes later.
Let me kind of explain to everybody what happened there. So there's 2 types of claims that come down the pike that are rocket docket claims. Cheyenne made a really good point here. So claimants that go to hearings without an attorney are called rocket docket claims. They're in, they're out, 20 minutes later, sometimes maybe 25 to 30, but usually 20 minutes later, they're done. There's nobody there to cross-examine them. There's not much of the vocational expert analysis. It's just boom, 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 done. There's nobody there on your side of the fence. Also, there are judges sometimes that want to go ahead and limit what the attorney says. Now, your attorney should have spent a solid 15 to 20 minutes asking you questions before you even got to the vocational expert analysis. So, I mean, how many questions did he ask you during the actual examination or cross-examination?
He asked me 2.
2 questions? Oh, my God.
He asked, why can't I work? And then when I answered that, he asked me, that's when he did the thing that we were talking about the night before when he called me. He actually used the words, I see by your medical records that you have this many hours, blah, 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 blah. Why? And that was the only 2 questions he asked. And then the other 2 questions for the vocational expert, those got cut off. Boom, hearing closed.
Okay, so first, all right. Well, let's recreate the hearing a little bit, so I can help you out, because I want you to do a total of 4 things. Thing number 1 is I want you to create a writing as to why you can't work, and it's going to be in this format. Okay. Do you have a little pen and paper to go ahead and write down the yada?
I do.
Okay, perfect. Get a piece of paper, get a pen. Let's write it down. Let's actually go through the toughest question. I just did a video on this too. It's like number 1 of the top 200 ALJ questions or hearing questions I like to hear. So, whatchamacallit? All right. So first thing, why can't you work? Put that as the title page, top of the hierarchy. Here we go. Why can't you work? Bullet point number 1. What were the past jobs that you had since 2005? It's past 15 years. We're in 2020 right now. Number 2. Yeah. So what were the types of jobs that you had since 2005? That's bullet point 1. Bullet point 2. What were the functions that you did at those jobs?
Okay.
Point number 3.
Function.
What medications, side effects, orthopedic devices do you have? So what were the medications you have? What are the medications that you have? What are the side effects from it? And what are the orthopedic devices that you have?
Okay.
Number 4 bullet point is why you couldn't do other types of jobs in the national economy. I want you to put a sub bullet point to that bullet point. Sub bullet point is ticket taker, movie theater. Motel cleaner.
You know what? That's what he said. That was the one that he said, ticket taker.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm doing another 10 video thing. It's like the top 10. They always use classic, VE. Yeah. So we'll do it. We'll do one of those too. But we're gonna do like the top 10 vocational expert proffers for dictionary occupational titles for jobs that they give you guys in the hearing, because they always give the same ones over and over. They're just a little bit different sometimes. But anyway, so sub-bullet points, you got movie theater ticket taker, you got motel cleaner, and what's the other one that they always come up with that's been recent? Oh, a price marker, marker position. Just don't do the nut checker. Okay, never mind. So I can't read what she's putting on there. So here's the thing. Then from there, you've officially answered why you can't work nowadays, right? Because you explained what you used to do, what you had to do at those, or what types of jobs you used to have, what you used to do at those jobs, what medications, side effects you have. And actually, there's another problem here too. Your attorney didn't ask you what your impairments were.
No, he did not.
How the heck? I mean, how do you do that? How do you go through a hearing?
I started off by saying, well, I'm bipolar 2, I don't know. I almost got the impression that I'm probably wrong. I'm sure I am, but that the judge felt his intelligence was insulted by the attorney not, telling him, look at all this obvious stuff. But I mean, what you're saying makes more sense.
Well, here's what happened. So the judge got pissy. I had a judge the other day who got pissy with me because I said, Your Honor, the residual functional capacity notated a 15 stand, a 30-minute walk, and a 20-minute sit. And they're like, well, and the judge said to me, well, I've already read that. And I said, you're excellent, Your Honor. What I would like to do is utilize that with the vocational expert as a proffered hypothetical. Your attorney should have said, I'm objecting because we are not using the medical expert and their vocational residual functional capacity analysis as a hypothetical as a part of this hearing. But your attorney also screwed up because he didn't have the background information from the job that you were working at while you were working and applying for disability benefits. When somebody's working, all right, so let me clarify that for everybody online. If somebody's working while applying for disability benefits, you have to get a letter from them explaining why that job is unique. Now, let me explain what the elements are for why that job is unique. I'm going to make them up on the spot because that's usually how I do all this stuff with you guys. Number one, what accommodations do you get while working? That's like I get extra time. They give me, extra loose clothing to wear. They don't make me take the trash out, blah, 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 whatever. Accommodations. Number two, an analysis as to your attendance. And that's just like, did I miss a day? That's like, were you late? Did you leave early? How many times did you leave early? Blah, 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 blah. And then let's see if we can figure out another one. And then basically what all their little thingies are. Like, let's say the third element is how many times you've been written up, right? So how many times you've been written up. So let's go back to the original thing of this. What accommodations do you receive? Have you been late or didn't show up or blah, blah, blah? And then how are you written up? Do we have a thing of how you were written up, what those write-ups were? Do we have those? Those are all the things that basically... Howdy, Don Darrell. I just wanted to say hi to a guy in there. Those are all the things that we traditionally use to prove that somebody had what's called a specialized job that was unique to them. And what that means is that basically your job or what you did does not match the DOT description or the SEO. The DOT is the DOT is a dictionary of occupational titles. Think of it as like the big book, the big digibook that has all the different jobs for everything. Everything. I mean, literally everything. They've got brain surgeon in there. They've got stripper in there. It's everything. It's everything. So bottom line is that, as you go through this whole yada yada, you have to be able to show that your job, what you did at that specific company, was different from what the DOT has. So one thing that you also have to do is you have to go ahead and basically, silver wrapper, marker, surveillance system monitor, usher, those are all good ones. Those are all really good ones. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to look. All right. So one thing I do with my clients, most attorneys don't do this. I don't know why. It makes it harder to win. I'm a fan of winning because I have bad student loans. Here's the thing you got to know. When somebody is working while they're applying, you have to go find what their job is in the DOT and then write up a little mini brief as to how their job is different from that job. So if you guys aren't sure, what you can do is you can go and type into Google dictionary of occupational titles, right? And I think it's almost like it's always the first one, occupationalinfo.org. You click on the link and it says DOT Dictionary of Occupational Titles at the top. Then it has a little search thingy. So let's say we put in marker. Marketer is like the most classic one that they always come up with. And it's usually marker 1 or marker 2. But let's just pick marker 2 because that popped up first. So let me explain what some of these things are. Marker 2, any industry, alternate titles, labeler, stamper. Let me read it real quick. If you guys are wondering, it's code 920.687-16. And when you're in the hearing, the vocational expert will do the following. He'll say in some reason 3 jobs, if they have 3 jobs. Sometimes it's, they run out because the judge will give such a specific hypothetical as to limitations that they run out of options inside the DOT. So the vocational expert will say, well, Your Honor, I'd like to give you a job within that vocational hypothetical. The job is marker 2, 920.687-126. I'm actually sounding like this one vocational expert who has the weirdest voice in there. It's so funny. He sounds like this. Yes, Your Honor. 920, but I love his style though, because he slows it down and I can hear everything. I can hear exactly. He's when he's describing answers or coming back with answers, he's not super great. But when it comes to describing the code for me to look up real quick, it's awesome because a lot of the vocational experts are like, oh, 920.687.126. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, what, what do you want me to do with, But anyways, 920.687-126, marker 2, which is, I'm going to read it to you guys, marks or affixes, trademarks, or other identifying information such as size, color, grade, or process code on merchandise, material, or product using one or more methods, such as metal punch and hammer, crayon, rubber stamp, and ink, electric pencil, branding iron, acid and stencil, sand grit and stencil, or tag. So let's go back over the first sentence. Marks or affixes, trademarks, or other identifying information. Okay, so we're talking about serial numbers on products. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about serial numbers on products. That's the easiest way to think about it. May inspect items before marking, made in China. That's basically, if I could think of one phrase that describes most products in America, made in China. That's what we're talking about here, which is obviously not, marker 2 would not be done by somebody in America. So this job in that sense would not make sense, but that's a whole other issue in America. So, may inspect items before marking, may attach gummed labels to merchandise, material or product using tag dispensing machine, may clean items, may use printing mechanism or labeling press. When marking is performed as task of packaging duties, workers should be classified according to type of packaging performed as packager, hand, any industry. All right, then it goes into a bunch of other little cute summarized options that you could have for basically a packager. I want to go through, if you guys aren't sure what the DLU means, DLU stands for date last updated, meaning this job has not been updated since 1984 in this book. 1984. That's like, there were dinosaurs. They were cute. They weren't the mean ones, but at that point, there were still dinosaurs. So, it was, it's one of those things. Other thing, SVP2. SVP2 is one of the unskilled. So 1 and 2 are unskilled, 3 and 4 are semi-skilled, and then basically 5 to 9 are skilled. It means it's an unskilled job. You could learn it really quickly. It's got a reasoning 2, which is important specifically when it comes to your ability to figure things out relative to it. Talks about, kind of like your education level and stuff like that. Strength is light. So the most important thing that you need to know about this is light. This is a light-based job. Light means 6 out of 8 you're standing and walking, 2 out of 8 you're sitting. So, in this particular instance, you didn't have the evidence needed for the attorney to claim, to make that argument. And the judge called him out on that. And what the attorney was relying on was the judge's doctors. And the judge was saying, well, I don't care. He was still able to work. And there was nothing in the record that says he couldn't work for the job that was in the DOT. And you can literally look it up later. You can literally look up what your job. All right. So give me the national title for what your job is called.
American Sign Language Educational Interpreter.
Okay. So sign language. Let's see if we can find one in here. All right, interpreter, deaf. So let me see if there's a better one. Speech pathology. No. Well, you were teaching it, right?
That was one of the jobs I had to work in.
Were you more an interpreter, or were you more like a teacher? Were you a pathologist?
I was more of a parent.
You more of a. Say it again.
I'm more of a one-on-one aid for autistic children.
Okay, so you were more of an interpreter, essentially.
Well, yeah. Well, I did. I worked for the state as an interpreter in 2017, 2018. Then I applied. Actually, then I quit. I resigned because of my symptoms. Then I applied. And then I got some part-time work as a paraprofessional. But the judge, for some reason, asked me what I did for the state. And it was based on that the vocational expert did their thing. And I guess based on that answer, ASL interpreter, that's what they came up with out of the DOT.
Did you hear the word pathologist during the vocational expert testimony?
I did not.
All right. Let's take a look at interpreter deaf. Code is 137.267-014. Specifically, this is a light type of job with a reasoning of 4, and this is an SVP 5, and I have no idea how many of these jobs are available in the national economy, but this job has not been updated since 1977, which is actually before dinosaurs. That's just when we had water creatures.
Good Lord.
I know. That's pretty sad.
My God.
Yeah. No, I know. It's just all we had at that point were amoebas and flippers. That's it. That's all we had. That's all. Yeah. Provides translation between spoken and manual sign language communication. Translates spoken material into sign language for understanding of deaf. Interprets sign language of deaf into oral or written language for hearing individuals or others not conversant in sign language. May translate television news and other broadcasts for deaf viewers. Does that sound a little bit more along what they were presenting for the hearing?
Yeah, even though it's slightly different in that I'm an educational interpreter, so that means like I would go into, if there was a deaf kid in some third grade class, I would be interpreting what the teacher says for him, things like that. So that's real specific.
So you were like an interpreter helper. You would like help with notes and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay.
And exactly, like a one-on-one aid / interpreter.
Okay. All right. Here's the bad news with that. That job, which is less than the job you realistically were working, has an SVP of 5. And in this case, an SVP of 5 is not good because that is a skilled work job. So, yeah, what that means is that it took over 6 months and up to and including 1 year to be able to learn how to do that job. And now what you were doing was teaching on top of that. So that's got to be higher than an SVP of 5. So you're looking at 2 years plus to learn how to do your job, which means they've got some transferable skills to use with you, which means that they're not going to likely be able to grid you out as easily. Now, what's your highest level of education?
Bachelor's degree.
Okay. Do you have any certifications, allowances, clearances above and beyond that?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm just seeing what my puppy is chewing on. It's not an electrical cable yet. All right. So here's what scares me about this. What were okay? So your attorney asked you two questions as part of the examination. Vocational expert comes up. Your attorney tries to proffer two counter arguments. They're shut down, and then the hearing just ended.
Yeah. So, I mean, the judge gave me some instructions. Hey, I'll reach our decision between 60 and 90 days, but it may take longer, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. That was pretty much it.
What do you feel that means to you?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you feel that means to you?
Well, I only lean toward positive because my attorney called me after that and stated that, she was positive about it. But one of the reasons was because the judge interrupted him twice and restated his question, that was somehow important to get on tape in case I was denied and there was a next level. An appeal. So he said that was good that the judge that we got that on tape.
So the way he sold you,
that means.
The way he sold you on this being all okay is that he said, "Don't worry, we can appeal this." Jesus Christ.
Well, he gave a caveat and said, "I hope we don't, but I hope you don't have to."
Okay.
But then he said, "But I feel positive about it. I have a good." The words he used was, "I have a good feeling about it."
Okay. Okay. So you're going to get denied. It's going to take 3 to 4 months. Then you're going to have to look at. Well, I mean, you do. You're going to get denied. If the judge shut it down that fast, you're going to get denied. So then, let me explain to you, with my squeaky, horrible chair that I need to replace with a better one. Let me explain to you what happens now, and I don't want to let me ask you this. Do you want me to just lay it on you? Do you want me to do one shot to the head instead of 3 to the chest, or do you want me to just butter it up and make it sound, I just gave you the best, fried chicken with ice cream surrounding it on top of a banana platter, with my flippers holding it out. Okay.
I want you to come down on me like Armageddon.
Oh, dude, I do that very rarely on people because it's just terrible. All right. Let me give you the fluffy bunny version. If you have a little fluffy little keychain tail for a bunny foot, this is the time to use it. So here's what happens. 3 to 4 months down the line, you're going to go ahead and get a denial. It's going to say unfavorable. It's going to be about 20 pages plus, or depending on how the hearing went, being so short, it might be less than that. Your attorney's then going to have to go through that brief and find where there's an error as to law or an error as to fact. Now, in this case, he's relying on the fact that the judge shut him down, would not allow him to go ahead and proffer questions to the vocational expert. Now, if your attorney does not object after the hearing, which is why you should call your attorney and say, "I'd like you to submit something that says, hey, I would like you," and this is what your attorney, all right. Instead of giving it to you like a hot stone to the forehead, let me tell you just what to do. Your attorney needs to submit interrogatories to the judge requesting that those interrogatories be answered by the vocational expert. Also, then the judge, seeing how the judge was so cranky towards your claim, will deny those interrogatories, and then he will have a reason with him denying it during the hearing to go ahead and basically have appeals counsel warrant. Now, let's say that you are warranted to go to appeals counsel. There's grounds to appeal, right? Let's say you've got that. Now what happens is, at that point, you can go ahead and have your attorney submit a brief to appeals counsel. Now, let me ask you this. Does your attorney take claimants to appeals counsel?
I don't know if he does or not.
Okay. So that might be like something you might want to find out. That's like, that's something, you might want to check in, just see see what they're saying, kind of go, for a ride, just say hi to them. I would do that. That would be like at the top of my, like, I need to do this tomorrow after I eat, some eggs and sourdough. So what I want you to do is, does your attorney do appeals counsel? If not, who's the next attorney that's going to do it? Number 2, can you submit interrogatories requesting that the judge go ahead and answer them? Because I need to know. I want the vocational expert to answer your questions and see if there's anything else that you can go after with it. The other thing that your attorney should request from the administrative law judge is to submit a motion, since the judge was unwilling to go ahead and basically utilize the RFCs from the medical experts, the judge's medical experts, by the way. They are the SSA's medical experts. They'll say, oh, they are neutral and impartial. Hey, nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. But the bottom line is, these are the judge's doctors, right? So the bottom line is, okay, cool. So what that means is your attorney should submit to the judge a motion requesting a new mental and physical CE. How long ago did you go to those CEs? Was it in 2019?
Yeah, it was 2019.
So you're going to have your attorney submit a motion to the judge for a new physical and a new mental CE because you're no longer working, I'm assuming.
No, I'm not.
Right. So he should submit that you go to another SSA medical expert for mental, a new SSA medical expert for physical. That way you get a new RFC. And that way the whole argument of, hey, he was working while these CEs were going on, they don't count, blah, blah, blah. That way that argument is moot. Then your attorney should change your alleged onset date to whatever the next best medical evidence is, which in this case is going to be the date that you stopped working. What is the date that you stopped working?
June 3rd. June 3rd, when the school year ended.
Look, if it were me and, I was your attorney, I would use the nuclear option. I would use it. I would have done the claim differently, but I would use it. So I would go ahead, request the motion, submit an alleged onset date to basically when you stopped working or when your hours and your earnings became so little. So have your attorney look up what's called the new hire query form and find out what you earned per quarter. If you didn't earn much in the first quarter of 2020, use that as the beginning of that alleged onset date. If you didn't earn much in the second quarter of 2020, use that. Okay. If you didn't earn enough in the last quarter of 2019, use that. But amend the alleged onset date to when you don't have much earnings. You're going to use what's called the nuclear option. It's where you're nuking your back pay. Sounds terrible. It is terrible, but it's better than getting a denial. It really is. I like to say that, that everybody deserves love and, cha-cha-cha, but that's a lie. Anyway, so, the bottom line here is, as I continuously feed my dogs treats to try and convince them that they should behave and not chew on electrical wires that take me hours to fix. Oh yeah, they do. They're on like 10 gauge wires, just cutting right through them. They're better than a Klein tool. It's terrible. So basically so I would do that. And then the other thing I would do is I would go ahead and specify to the SSA that basically the original CE doctors cannot be used for these follow-up CEs. They cannot be used. Submit the motion for 2 new CEs. Original doctors cannot be used. Have to be alternative doctors that must be used. Okay, it'll take me too long to explain why, but the simple part of it is you do not want the same pollination. You want cross-pollination with medical evidence. That way you've got 2 different medical experts providing the same output. And hold on to that alleged onset date sheet until you basically go see those doctors and can tell your attorney how it went. If it went really well, you might be able to push it back a little bit more. But remember, look at the earnings, because the earnings are going to dictate what you should amend your alleged onset date to. Okay.
Gotcha.
And you're 52, right? Or 51?
51.
51. Is your alleged onset date before you turn 50?
Yes.
First thing you're going to do before any of that First thing you're going to do before any of that is move your alleged onset date to when you were 50. I don't know why your attorney didn't do that. He probably got greedy, was trying to get a little bit of cash flow in the back pay, which is fine. It is what it is. But first thing you're going to do above all of that, it's called amend alleged onset date to. All right, hold on. I'm going to help you out here. Hold on. 1 second. Let me help you out. What's your birthday?
April 9, 1969.
Okay, 1 second. All right, so let's see. We need April. We need 9th. We need 2019. All right. You're going to tell your attorney you want to amend your alleged onset date to April 8th, the day before your birthday, April 8th, 2019.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's the first thing.
April 8th, 2019.
Yeah, that's the first thing you're going to want to do. All right.
Okay.
So we've covered a lot of things that you need to do. Now, let me ask you this. Are you a smoker? Do you drink? Do you enjoy marijuana? Do you enjoy higher level stuff?
No, I'm a good kid. I don't do any of that.
When was the last time you were in a penal institution?
Never.
Okay. All right. I like to ask because sometimes people say, well, last week, you wouldn't believe it,
Yeah.
but the car was drunk and I was just innocent in it, So, yeah. So those cars, they got to, they're blowing their exhaust. Anyways, so with that said, that should help your claim potentially turn a negative into a possible not so bad negative. That's what we're looking at, and I know that you want to have an approval. So here's the logic. Your alleged onset date is your weapon. It's your secret weapon. Making it 50 is going to have you get a potential grid. Now, do you know what grids are?
A little bit. Those are the rules that that dictate work capacity at certain ages.
So basically, grid rules are kind of like an Excel sheet that, the less education you have, the less skills you have when it comes to work, the older you are, the less you can do, the better you are. You might be found disabled through, the grid rules. So let's talk about that real quick. Okay, so you are... Oh, wait a minute. Your attorney should be. All right. So the bottom line is there's two options in your particular age group. There's light and there's sedentary. Light work means you can walk 6 out of 8. Sedentary means you can sit 6 out of 8 hours. Your attorney should then submit a notification. So attorney, submit notification as to which grid you should be capable of fitting into.
Okay.
If you're not sure about griddings, go read about them because it would take too much time for me to go through them all.
Yeah.
And I know that we have 2 other people that wanted to call in, but that's here or there. All right. Now, next thing I want to go through. Now we've covered the alleged onset date. We've covered the grid option. We've covered the work option. We've covered the vocational expert option with interrogatories and the new medical expert, the new MEs. That should potentially save the claim. I mean, right now it's a clear denial, but you might be able to schmooze out of this ALJ a grid allowance. And if he doesn't approve your request for a new MEs, you definitely got appeals counsel review potential. The other thing your attorney could do, but he should have done before you went to the hearing, is request that he should have requested. I mean, you can't do it now. He should have requested that your medical experts be present for the hearing. If you request that, it's automatic grounds for appeals counsel review.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why you didn't do that either.
Well, I don't know. He was busy, it happens. His life took over and the boat was, it needed a wash or something. I don't know. So, all right. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, you've given me quite a lot to think about. I really appreciate you. You're awesome.
Absolutely, good sir. And keep in mind, now, what were your 2 most severe impairments again?
Bipolar disorder and
depression.
Just cognitive impairment.
Oh, okay. Okay, correct. What are your top 5 impairments?
my top 5 impairments.
Yeah.
Working memory, planning and prioritizing, problems with like retrieving words and retaining information.
That is the rendering or symptoms of an impairment. That is not an impairment. So the first 2 were impairments. What are 3 more impairments?
I have anxiety, my depressive, or my depressive episodes, my manic episodes, and anxiety and panic attacks.
Okay. So you don't even know what your top 5 impairments are. So, and
No.
remember, and like tomorrow, you're going to be like, oh, well, they're really this. And all right, so let me ask you this: what is your most severe impairment?
My inability to plan and organize my thought processes.
Well, that is the result of an impairment. What impairment causes that?
The depression and mania.
Okay, so you have depression, and then okay. So all right. Did you ever watch those top 50 the top 50 ALJ trick question videos?
No, I have not.
Go check those out. Those will help you, because here's what's going to happen in the long run. Your claim will go up to appeals counsel if you don't get an approval at this point. Then from there, it'll be remanded back down to the administrative law judge. And then from there, the administrative law judge, you may have the same one, you may have a different one. You'll probably have the same one. And that's what the statute says, but sometimes people get a different one. And what happens at that point is basically you'll have to present before that judge again, collect all new medical, that's the new stuff, all new this, all new that, yada, yada, yada. And the thing is, you need to actually be able to have a regular hearing. And when you have a regular hearing, a lot of those questions that you're going to find in those top 50 trick ALJ questions section, that will de facto help you understand when the speeding silver bullet is heading for your head, and you'll be able to, duck dive and, kind of get out of the way of that,
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Excellent.
All right.
Good, sir. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, that'll be it. I'll let you go. I know you got some other callers.
Perfect. Good, sir. Have a wonderful, excellent. Have a wonderful night. And thank you so much.
You too. Hey, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, perfect, guys. Excellent. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we are at an hour, so we have another hour left. Let me put the phone number in there. Okay. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm setting up different little thingies to make the channel look better. Little thingies that go on the bottom here, little animated blah, blah, blahs, a better backdrop other than the green screen, which everybody seems to hate. And in the future, we'll have a more professional image. Now, with that said, housekeeping issue, at some point in the future, and I have to look up exactly which dates they are, I'm going to be going on vacation. And on that vacation, I may not have reliable internet. I know we never have reliable internet, so it's not that big of a deal. But I might not have I might have really unreliable internet for 1 or 2 of the nights, 1 or 2 of the Thursdays. I don't know exactly how it's matching up and yada yada. It might just be one, it might be the other. If I do have reliable internet, we're going to go ahead and basically run a regular session. If I don't have reliable internet, then what I'll do is I will try to pre-shoot a 2-hour period worth of video and then basically go from there. Or I won't. I don't know. 2 hours is a lot of time to go ahead and do one of these things, because I should be writing briefs. I should be actually right now sending out patient-based directed letters and things like that. So there is that aspect. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the next person to call in, I'm going to go ahead and post the phone number right over. Yeah, there we go. The other thing that I want to go ahead and promote to you guys is Oh, actually, let me do this. Take a moment, and I'm not sure if you guys were posting questions while I was on the phone with people, and put them into the bottom of the live chat. I'll be able to grab them from there and then work on them, and then kind of let you know what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, I would. Yeah, Batgirl. I would love to go on vacation and not use the internet, but on this vacation, I'm going to be doing the disability resolution taxes. I'm going to be doing the whatchamacallit. I'm going to be doing finishing spaceconstitution.com. I'm going to be putting up with my dogs. So it's going to be a frenzy. It's going to be amazing, but it's going to be a frenzy. Okay, so let's see. Let me see if there's any questions in here. I see Gabba Penton. We can help with vet questions for you. We can help vet questions for you. That's great, Shiny. I've been seeing things that are not there law. Okay. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to stop taking it more important. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so guys, if you do have any questions for me, go ahead and just throw it into the bottom section. And then we'll go ahead and I'll see what I can do. Yeah, seriously, excuses. I haven't had like a traditional the last time that I had time off and actually didn't work, like truly did not work, was when Layla passed away from the auto incident. So in that regard, she, I just for 4 days I didn't work, and there were a lot of things that were really difficult for me. But with that said, every other holiday, every Christmas, every holiday I've worked, every single vacation I've been on, I've worked. And the fun part about it is that the firm grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. It's amazing, but it's also torture. So there's that aspect. But hi, sweetie, how was it? Did you enjoy it? Was it good? Okay, so I want to talk about where the future of this channel is going and some of the things that are going to be happening with it that are going to make it, I guess, better. We'll find out. Anything you guys can do to help me out and kind of get the word out about this channel would be super duper helpful. There are some attorneys out there that have more subscribers. I'm not sure how to get more subscribers, so I don't know. I'm probably going to buy into like one of those courses and watch it and figure out what the process is. I tend to like meet Kevin, so I might buy his thing. I think it was like $300 or $400 or whatever. So I might go into that regard. Let's see what else. The next thing that I want to go through is that there's going to be these 200 questions that are the hearing questions. That is a big release for me. That's going to take more than 100 hours to shoot, edit, and upload. There's going to be another thing which is not released to the general public. And I'm not sure how the whole you buy in and this is a special group, or you do this and you get to see it. I'm not sure how I'm going to set that up yet. But it's going to go through the process for filing. So if somebody is basically trying to go ahead and file for Social Security disability benefits online, it will be a walkthrough as to each section of the filing process. And basically, here's this question. Here's things to watch out for. Here's some classic terminology you should use, yada, yada. It will be a walkthrough as to how to properly file to get away from making a mistake. Now, for my clients, this will be free. For people that are outside of my geographic range, they're just not around me that I can be their attorney, it'll be one of those like you can buy into it options. So that's another thing that I'm going to be working on in the near future. There's another thing that I'm going to make available to you guys, which are the quizzes that I use with employees to make sure that they understand and know how this system actually works. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys the 1 through 10 quizzes that I use that are like the basic things that structure how how the system works for Social Security disability benefits. So that's kind of a cool thing. Okay, let's see what else. So Cheyenne said, I'm trying to get him to go on vacation with me, and he said I need internet. Yeah, I do need internet. I was workaholic. Yeah, so I'm workaholic. Okay, so the next thing that you need to know is that basically throughout this wonderful, fun, and exciting process, at some point, I'm going to be, trying to figure out what the future of disability resolution is for this video platform. Now, as you know, there's more videos than any other attorney out there. Patreon is where you post special. So yeah, I was looking at Patreon. So there were two main things that I wanted to do. I wanted to figure out Patreon, and I wanted to figure out GoFundMe. And I created some GoFundMes. Some of them were real ones, like my student loans. I created the GoFundMe for my student loans. I don't even know how to find the link for it yet. I'm sure it's there. I just tried to log into it when we started this whole thing, and I couldn't even log in. Like, this computer doesn't have, I guess, the right password or whatever. So I'll have to figure that out later. So I set up some GoFundMes. Some GoFundMes that were really real. One of them was the student loans. One of them was the future big office. One of them was the future boat. That was a joke one. And so basically, the other one that's going to be donations for spaceconstitution.com, so that people can donate to allow spaceconstitution.com to have funds to go ahead and grow and hire employees and yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of that aspect. And then Patreon, I've got to figure out how that works. I don't know if you guys can post stuff about how it works or what the deal is. I just started to look into it as a basic function. Yes, sweetie, I'm aware. Here. Get it. So now, with this all said, is there a particular disability law that you guys would like me to cover for the next 50 minutes until somebody calls in? I'll open it up to you guys. You guys have heard me talk about all kinds of things. The dogs don't care what we talk about, so it's up to you. I'm going to type in here whatever you guys would like, comma, what video ideas do you have, and I can talk about them right now. Boom. So if you have a video idea that you wanted me to cover, or an idea that you want me to cover, or a particular topic that you want me to cover, or do a custom video right now, let's just do that, because nobody has called in. Actually, somebody did call in, but it was like not a disability person. Well, they are a disability person, but it's like, you know, somebody from that was already found disabled, and they're just like, hey, did you buy this? It's a Baby Yoda thing that they wanted to know about. Anyway, out there, but they're really bad. Oh, the mock videos. Yeah, it's good monthly income generator for people that partake. Okay, so mock. Okay, so the mock hearings. Every mock hearing that I watched on YouTube that was available to the general public is not realistic. And it's not realistic because the judge is always agreeable. I had a hearing today where the judge, I over prepared the claim, so the judge was happy, but the judge was very cranky throughout the process of the claim. Judges are not usually super friendly and super nice. That's more of a rarity. Some judges like the attorney, and I can't say that it's the most important thing about your claim is if the judge likes the attorney, because that's not realistic. It's how good is your claim. But it is super important that the judge likes your attorney, because some of the judges have said to me, they're like, hey, look, sometimes I have to say, here's the claimant and here's the attorney. And that's what they do. They literally mentally have to split the attorney from the claimant, because if they don't like the attorney, then they're trying to not let that anger and hatred go on to the claimant. And that's tough. You know, that's one. And so that's one of the things that maybe you have to think about with these administrative law judges. They do, you know, 4 or 5 claims in a day. They don't do that every single day, but they do a bunch. And so what that equates to, they might do, you know, 5 one day, 5 one day, and then 2 another day or something like that. But the bottom line is they don't do tons and tons the entire week, but they still get cranky. Imagine having to run, I knew one ALJ that did 12 in one day, but imagine having to run a total of 5 hearings in a row. Right? Five of what we just did in a row, except, you know, that was in an actual hearing format. So there's a lot more template language. You're going through a structured yada. Imagine having to do 5 of those in a row. Now, granted, you get some breaks in there. You get a lunch period in there. You know, you get to hop in your Jag and go off to whatever. Yes. But imagine having to do that 5 in a row. Okay. So, all right. You're right. At some point, I will do a mock hearing. We will make Cheyenne or whatever the administrative law judge, and we will make you know, Shadow, little black dog, the claimant, and we'll do a good job. It won't be a crappy one. We'll make it very, very, very realistic with, of course, a dog as the claimant. We used to do mock juries in the job that I worked at in market research. There were all cases that were here in Florida, and I'm about to go in front of a judge. We used to have 46 respondents. Some of the cases were very, let's see, interesting. I would see some of the outcomes on the news. What are the main reasons disability is discontinued with a long form CDR 12 months after approval? Okay. So here are the main. So here, let me simplify. Here are the main reasons that you go through a CDR. there are certain amounts of time that exist for CDR. There's 12 months, there's 24 months, there's 36 months, there's 7 years, whatever amount of months that is, and there's 10 years. Those are the traditional amounts of time that we go through. Now, recently, everybody was like all upset with Trump about how he added the 2-year option. It wasn't really Trump, it was the SSA commissioner, but you know how he gets blamed. He gets blamed. So the bottom line is the SSA commissioner created this new thing that we're now creating a statute allowance, which says that instead of just having a 1 year as an option and a 3 years as an option, we're now adding a 2-year CDR as an option. So at any point during those, scheduled yada yadas, you can have a CDR. And the CDRs come in 2 forms: short form, long form. Short form, easy, quick. Long form, long, long. 8-step sequential process. There are 8 elements throughout this process relevant to it. Your initial adjudication, only 5 elements. For CDR, there are 8 elements. Okay, so what are the things that cause a CDR to be triggered? Let's do the basic easy ones. First and foremost, you start working again, right? You start working again, and they take a look into it, and yada, yada. Next one, you're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, and there's pictures of you at a theme park. There's pictures of you riding a horse. There's pictures of you on an ATV, UTV, whatever, Baja through Bithlo. There are pictures of you doing that. Another one, a classic example, is that somebody reports activity that you are doing that you would not be able to do as the disabled person at which you claim you are. That's another thing that triggers them. Another thing that triggers them is if the administrative law judge puts into the brief that he wants or she wants a CDR within the next 12 months because your condition is likely to improve. That's another thing that causes them. Another thing that causes them is that if you got an approval and it was for something like a car accident where you're expected to likely improve over time. So you get into a car accident. It takes 6 months for them to approve you. And you're expected to go through some surgeries, and after the surgeries, you're expected to improve. So they might put it 2 years out. They might put it 3 years out because then you'll be expected to improve at that point. Another thing that triggers a CDR is basically I've seen these pop up. They don't usually do this, but I've seen it where somebody will go ahead and rapidly move from state to state to state to state to state. Moving from one state to another, no biggie. Moving from moving into 6 or 7 different states in a year period, I've seen that trigger a CDR. It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to, but it does. There's what the law is, and then there's, how we actually practice the law. Okay. Another thing that triggers CDRs is if you go back to school. Well, no, it's not supposed to, but it does. That's one of the things. Like, if somebody's sitting there going, okay, should we have one? Should we not have one? Is this going to be short form, long form? Going back to school for higher education is something that can trigger them. It's not supposed to, but it does. Walter, do you do private phone consultations? I need help before my hearing in 3 weeks. Yeah, so Tammy, that's fine. I do them. If it's like a phone consultation, all right. So here's the thing with that whole situation. And then I'll go back up to Batgirl with her question. Somebody called in and threatened me and said, hey, you have to run questions with me in a private chat. I was like, no, let's not do it in a private chat. Let's do it on, on YouTube live. Let people learn from it. And he was like, no. I hate you. You have to do it in private with me. And I was like, fine, whatever. So I did it. But the thing is, going forward, because we didn't have a system that I could tell them, we're doing like a regular hour, like an attorney hour, where I put it as like on my hearing schedule that I'm going to run hearing questions with you. And it's like an actual cost. Now, if this is just a free consultation where it's like hey, I'm just running some, running over the details of a claim real quick, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, that's fine. I'm not going to charge for that or whatever. Maybe even 30 minutes, not going to charge for that. But if this is like a full on, I'm running you through the questions, I'm grilling you, I'm beating you up, then it's a traditional attorney hourly yada yada, which is expensive because I want everybody to do them through the live interface for me to run hearing questions with them, which is why it's $250 per hour for a regular attorney hour, which is the standard. That's most people hear that like, what? But that's actually the standard. So my recommendation is, Tammy, call me to ask me little details for consultation. Now, wait, Tammy, where are you based? Like, are you based in the Florida, area? Are you based in Georgia? And even so, like, here's the other thing too. In 3 weeks, like, okay, so Tammy, do you already have an attorney? That's, I guess, the first question I should ask you. Do you have an attorney? And then while you're figuring to write that into there, yeah, Tammy, call me right now. I'll run the questions with you. It's no biggie. It's free too. Batgirl 88. Is it true that the longer it takes an ALJ to make a decision, the more likely it's a no answer? No, it's not. Some administrative law judges take 7 to 8 months to go ahead and make a decision, and that's an approval. Some administrative law judges, they're waiting for evidence to come in, so it could take longer, and it's an approval. Some administrative law judges are waiting for a consultative examination appointment to go ahead and take place, and then boop, they get it and they approve it. Some administrative law judges have a really backed up schedule, so they're just, they're like constantly trying to process stuff. They're trying to have the writer process stuff. They're trying to have the clerk process stuff. Takes longer, boom, and it's an approval. If your claim just takes longer, a lot of people think, oh, it's taking longer. They're taking more time to write a denial. Most denial letters tend to be a little bit longer. Most approval letters tend to be a little bit shorter. But I mean, the amount of difference in time of the writer to write that, she's going into squeak mode. Did you eat your treat? This is the last one. Last one. So I now Shadow wants one because you can't give one to one. You have to give one to the other. Come here, Snowballs. Come here. There you go. So okay, so remember, they're writers, the one who writes all these things. So the difference between a page or two of actual output on brief is not the difference of a day. It's the difference of maybe an hour. So the bottom line is it doesn't work that way. I know the feeling of it is it's taking forever. It's taking 4 months. It's taking 5 months. They're just going to deny me. I know that. I get it. You're waiting to like figure out if like your life's going to change. I told one person it's like waiting to go ahead and see if you pass the bar exam. And I think she was right. I don't think it's that bad. And when I went to go look at it, I was like, it's terrible too. You have to like literally, oh crap, I missed another phone call. All right. So whoever called, just call in again. I'm sorry. So you literally take the thing and you're like, there's my, my social, there's my name, and then when you take the bar exam, there's three options. Option 1, pass or fail. Option 2, pass or fail. Option 3, pass or fail. 1 and 2, day 1. If you didn't pass one of those days, like you got a pass fail, you could still, with enough points, pass overall. Eat your little thingy. So you could still potentially pass overall, right? So, which is really good. So what that means is that you could go ahead and get a pass, fail, pass. That's not what I got. What I got was the triple pass, which is good. That's what you want. A triple pass means you passed every section. Sweetie, eat your little thingy. Don't bitch. Don't whine. I'll pick you up. I'll give you belly rubs. Don't blink at me. All right. So, Walter, do you do private phone consultation? I need help before my hearing in 3 weeks. So yeah. I'll freeze knowing I'm live, but I'll gladly pay for an hour. So, okay, Tammy. So here's the thing. Just if it's in 3 weeks. Wait. So Tammy, do you know non-attorney rep through LTD? Oh God. All right, Tammy. Here's the thing with the LTD situations. Here's the thing with the LTD situations. Those, my dog's going to keep bitching. She will literally bitch for hours at a time until Shadow bites her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, what's wrong? Did I bring any other snacks? I didn't bring other snacks. So here's the deal. Your LTD carrier they do a horror. All right. So your LTD carrier they want you to be found disabled, because for every month that you get back pay, you got to pay them back. You got to pay them back. So they want you to be found disabled because they want the moolah back. But LTD carriers, I don't know why they do this. I don't know why. They either pick the worst attorneys or don't present you with attorneys, and then you're winging it. You're winging it going into the hearing. Tammy, let me ask you this. Did you buy your records? Because the SSA didn't. There's all these things. All right, so Tammy, here's the thing. you don't have an attorney, right? So, all right. First things first. Okay. Outside of Atlanta. So you're Georgia. That's all right. So that's a claim I get. First thing I want you to do is to call the OHO office. That's your hearing office. That's what came on the letter that said your hearing's literally over the hill and it's going to eat you. This scary, oh my goodness, hearing. The dark cave where Dracula pops out of it. The scariness, yada, yada. There's no Disney characters dancing and singing in it. This hearing, no matter what attorney you hire, they're not going to have enough time to buy your records, brief your claim, opening statement your claim, and make sure everything's got a bow on it for the judge. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call up the OHO hearing office. You're going to tell them, hey, I need to postpone my hearing. They'll postpone it for like 3 months. And your reasoning is that you need to go obtain counsel. To them, that means you're going to go get an attorney. You can pick me. You can pick anybody. I don't really care. You can pick anybody. But if you call in, I'll help you. Tammy, that's the other thing too. If you freeze on the phone, that's okay. I'll just tell you stuff what you have to do. So you can always call in. But here's the thing. All right. So Tammy, let me ask you this. What age are you? What's your highest level of education? And also, what are your main impairments? You can type them in there. And then I'll kind of give you things to watch out for and things like that. Now, while that's going on, yeah, everybody, I know all the dogs, they're very, very spoiled. I'm just going to scroll up and see what the questions we have on here. Any updates on CDRs? I'm 51, scheduled every 3 years. How many more can I expect? So Dime Daryl, here's how it works. If you're 51, you're going to get 2 more CDRs. You might get 3, you might get 1, you're going to get 2. As part of those 2 CDRs that you're going to get, as long as you keep going to the doctor and the doctor says you're the impaired, person that what you claim you are, then basically you're good to go. Life is good. You're going to go through Now, when you're doing these, it's unlikely because of your age. Maybe for the first one, you get a long form, but it's unlikely after that first one, once you reach over 55, that you will get a long form. You probably only get a short form. So 2 upcoming CDRs and yada, yada. Okay. So I'm not sure if this is the same person from before, but okay. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Would you like to run hearing questions or have me answer something relative to your claim?
I was going to ask you a question.
Sure, go for it.
Regarding can the claimant receive 2 higher levels at the same time, one for SSI, one for Ssdi?
Wait, hold on. The phone's breaking up and really hard to hear. Am I on speaker or like next to the ear?
Yeah. Can the claimant receive 2 or more letters? One for SSI and one for Ssdi.
Oh, can you receive both programs? Yeah. So here's the answer to that. Most of the time, most people will go ahead and receive one or the other. However, you will get a hybrid allowance for SSI and SSD. Wait, before I even go into that, most people think like, oh, cool, I can stack them on top, right? I can put this pen on top of that pen, right? That's not how disability benefits for SSI works. Like if you have SSDI and you have VA benefits, they stack. If you have SSI and VA benefits, they stack, right? But if you have SSDI and SSI, they don't stack. So here's where you get a hybrid allowance. A hybrid allowance is where you have basically, I'm just going to give a treat to the dogs to calm down as I'm running out. There you go. Take that one. Go. Okay. So here's what you need to know. Let's say you get SSDI benefits, right? And they're only going to pay you around $400 on your SSDI benefits, a really low amount. Then what they'll do at the local hearing offices, they'll give you, or at the local field office, they'll give you a hybrid allowance where SSI will provide you with some money and SSDI will provide you with some money. So you'll end up with just around $700 to $800, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And what that equates to is basically a situation where, let's call it like it is, you'll get Medicare, you'll get Medicaid, you'll be on SSI, and you'll be on SSDI.
Okay.
So yes, you can get a hybrid allowance, but it usually only happens if ... you're getting too low of an amount per month for SSDI. Now, the way you don't get a lot of money with SSDI is if you didn't work that much over the table. So let's say that you worked most of your life under the table and you don't have that many quarters of coverage, you didn't earn that much throughout the years, yada, yada. That was paying taxes like over the table. Then in that instance, what that means is that you might have a low SSDI amount. And if you have a low SSDI amount, that means that you might get what's called a hybrid allowance, so long as you're filed for both programs. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to be filed for, this one, or I'm going to be filed for that one. But, if you look at their system, a lot of people don't realize that they're not actually filed for both programs, which is like a miserable experience if you have to. So do you have a hearing coming up? Is that what this is about?
Yeah, because I had a hearing and the judge approved me for both SSI and SSDI. And then I received an award letter for SSI. But I'm entitled to my SSD. I'm entitled to my SSDI because I put money to I put money to the system. So I don't know how that goes. I don't understand it.
Walk me through the structure of your claim. When did you file?
I had two claims. One was for the federal, and then one was a new claim. And then the judge combined them together, and he awarded me. He found me disabled.
Okay, so
and then
yeah. So let me kind of walk you through what that means. A lot of people aren't going to know what that means. You had an initial claim that went to a hearing. It got denied. It went to appeals council and/or federal court. And then at that point, it was remanded back down to the administrative law judge. And there was a consolidation of claims because you filed a new filing once you reached federal court. And then basically the judge heard both of those at the same time. And then at that point, you went ahead and were found disabled. Is that correct?
That's correct, 100%.
All right. Do you know what your SSDI amount is per month?
SSDI?
Yeah, your SSDI claim. Yeah.
It's supposed to be like $1,018.
$1,018? Yeah. So you're not going to get a hybrid allowance. You're just going to get SSDI.
Yeah, but I don't understand why I got an award letter from SSI.
Oh,
I don't understand.
I'll walk you through that. So here's the deal. You were represented by an attorney, I'm assuming, right?
Right.
Okay. So okay, gotcha. So let me hold on. My dog just outsmarted me. I was trying to play with her with the pen, and then she took a piece of the pen off and she tricked me. So here's what you need to know. Attorneys file people for both programs because they can potentially get more money out of the system if they file people for both programs. For SSDI benefits, when you count the money for back pay, you don't count the first 5 months or the month they're found disabled. And for SSDI benefits, you can even count going back in time up to 17 months, called retroactive benefits. For SSI, you can't go back in time beyond when you file. So what that means is that you're stuck with your protective filing date. And every month thereafter, for SSI, you don't count the first month and you don't count the last month. So what that means is that for SSDI, you don't count the first 5 months. For SSI, you don't count the first month. For SSDI, you don't count the last month that you're found disabled. For SSI, same gig, you don't count the last month that you're found disabled. So what that means is that, let's say that you start, right? You file, and that the first 5 months for SSDI benefits don't count. But, right, so you're not getting any money for SSDI benefits for those first 5 months. But for SSI, the first month doesn't count, but the next 4 do count, which means you're getting SSI money for 4 months before you switch over to the higher amount of SSDI money.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, go ahead.
So the next question will be, so I should ignore the award letter then for SSI?
No.
Or do I feel that retroactive money from SSI? Did I get that or no?
No, the award letter is proper for SSI. You should be getting an award letter for SSI. You should be getting an award letter for SSDI. Both are used for your adjudication purposes to go ahead and figure out what your back pay benefits should be. So basically, can you get the compensations and keep the money for both SSI and SSDI? No, you don't get to. You don't get to stack them. You don't get to get back pay from both. You get back pay from, so whatever months you get back pay for SSDI, you're going to take those above and beyond SSI. SSDI is a better program because it gives you Medicare and usually a
Yeah.
higher amount per month. SSI is not as good because it gives you Medicaid and up to basically $783 per month.
Yeah. I want my case thanks to your videos.
Excellent.
If I didn't participate and listen to your videos, I would have not won the case.
Wow.
I won because of your videos.
Thank you, good sir.
I won.
I really appreciate it. If you get a chance, if you could leave me 5 stars on Google or Avo or Better Business Bureau, that would.
I've been trying to do it, and they keep denying me. I don't know why. I've been trying to do it since June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got to prove in June. I've been trying to do it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I tell you what, shoot me a quick email and I'll see what I can do to help you like leave one. Cause I know some people have been saying like, if they don't put down that they hired me, that they'll like reject the ability to go ahead and leave, a review, but shoot me an email. I'll see what I can do to kind of, get it through.
I recommend everyone that's listening to me.
Okay.
If they haven't hired an attorney to hire you or to listen to your videos, because I won my case. I tell you, I applied in 2013 and when 2020, it took me 7 years.
Wow,
and
geez.
I've been listening to your videos for the past 2 years.
Wow, geez Louise, wow.
And believe me, a lot of the questions, almost all the questions you guys asked me were on your videos.
Excellent.
I won because of your videos.
Oh, thank you.
I won because of your videos. And I've been 7 years in the system. 7 years. From June to June, 7 years.
It's such a long time. And that's the reality. It takes that long sometimes to go all the way up to appeals counsel, then get a denial, go to federal court and district court, start a new claim, get a remand, get a consolidation. Now, here's the thing, though. Did you have, because that sounds a little bit longer, whatchamacallit, that sounds a little bit longer than what it normally take me to do. Did you have like a traditional big box firm, or what did you have? Because that should have only taken about 5 years.
Yeah, I had a big back firm in Puerto Rico, and then I came to the U.S. because I had to have heart surgery, and then I hired a local attorney.
Okay, gotcha. And the local guy won it with the
videos. I won because of your videos.
Let me ask you this. Which trick questions did your judge use, or which tough questions did your judge use?
Oh, he asked me so many. Like he asked me a lot of questions that are in your videos. He asked me a lot of them.
That's good.
The one about driving, the one about smoking, the one about carrying stuff, everything on the video. He asked me everything.
Excellent.
I will on hearing.
Excellent. Well, I tell you what, if you want, Cheyenne will put up a post of how to leave reviews in the future. And also, if you shoot me a text at this phone number, I can send you the links to go ahead and directly link you to go ahead and leave 5-star reviews. And that way, you've got the direct thingy to do it. But congratulations, good sir. Now, did you start receiving your funds yet, or are you going to soon be receiving them?
Yeah, I received the check last Thursday. I received the check from SSI. It was like $2,349.
Uh-huh.
And and then I'm supposed to receive another check tomorrow for the deposit.
Excellent.
SSI.
Excellent.
But I'm approved for SSI and SSI. That's why I'm calling and asking you questions, because I don't understand why I'm getting these checks for SSI, and I need to the 5 months. Yeah.
Now, good sir, let me ask you this: do you own a home, or are you renting, or where? How do you live?
No. I lost in this process. I lost my home.
Uh-huh.
I lost my car. I lost everything in this process.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Now, one thing you want to look into is in your geographic area, they have special programs that basically allow individuals with disability benefit allowances to go ahead and get a mortgage for a small amount per month, and you can use your back pay to go ahead and put down a down payment, and boom, you'll be able to go ahead and own a place again.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to think of that because I lost everything.
And that's something I want to point out to a lot of people. Most people don't realize that you lose. The first thing that happens is you lose the job, then you lose some of the things you have yourself, what you can, then you lose the car, then you lose where you're living, and then ultimately where you end up is you lose the respect for your ability to be a happy human. And
I lost my dignity because I never in my life I applied for free standards and welfare, and I had to do it. I had no choice. I had to do it.
Yeah.
I had to do it.
Yeah. The tough thing that a lot of people don't realize, some people say, oh, people filing for disability benefits, they could go back to work, they could do this or that, and they try to compare it to welfare. Good sir, you tell me from your experience, what was it like throughout those years? Year 1, year 2, year 3, what was going through your head, your ideas, your thoughts throughout that process? What happened in year 1?
I was thinking, my God, why is this happening to me? Because I think I deserve my benefits because I had 2 heart attacks, I had a heart bypass, I had 4 stents, I had glaucoma, I had all the conditions. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, why they don't do it to me? I've been working all my life. I never asked for any handouts. And I'm thinking, why don't they approve me? I don't understand why other people get it so easy. And I have my medical records. I'm not faking anything. Everything is documented. And it's for real. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand why they're going to do it to me. And I used to, sometimes I used to cry because, my God, I couldn't make the mortgage. I had to money in the bank. Then that was running out. I had to pay child support. I went to court to try to get the child support lawyers. I couldn't do it. And it was hard. Then on top of that, I had to get the heart surgery. I had to leave Puerto Rico and come to the United States. Mm-hmm. It was really difficult. Sometimes I feel like it's like ending my life because at least then my son would get my death benefits, because the system is so corrupt. If you don't have an attorney from the very beginning, a good attorney like yourself, you're gonna wind up like me, waiting 7 years. You should have maybe only taking only 1 year or 2 years. You follow me?
It's tough.
But since I don't have any experience, because I never, even though I worked all my life, I didn't even know anything about Social Security. I know they used to take money out for FICA, FICA, and MTS, but I didn't even know I don't even know what Social Security was. You follow me?
Yeah.
That was never in my mind. I always worked all my life.
So
it's very difficult. Very difficult. I'm telling you.
I guess the big thing that a lot of people don't realize about this program and why it's so tough is that a lot of people think, well, you'll just have your friends take care of you and your family will take care of you. How many years were you able to get people to help you until you ran out of people to help you?
Let me tell you something. The only person that helped me was my mom.
Yeah.
My mom.
Yeah.
And when I was in the hospital, my mom would tell me, she would come to me, Ralph, where are you first now? And she didn't say it in a new way, but she wanted me to open my eyes. Because when you're in a situation like this, you have nobody.
Right.
You have nobody.
And so that's I think something most people don't realize about this, which is that there's few people that help you, and when they help you, it's limited. And you slowly lose all the things that define you as a person, the materialistic things, and your friends ditch you, and you're not going out to eat with them and things like that. Tell me this: what would you say to somebody applying, that's about to apply, somebody going through this process? I get the get a really good attorney part. What recommendations would you make to them other than picking a great attorney?
Well, the first thing I would do is tell them, I would tell them, you better go listen to this Walter Hnot guy and hire him. You better hire him. Number one. And number two, brace yourself for whatever's going to come and find somebody that you can anchor with and stay in the house because the system is so corrupt. Yeah. To me, the social system is so corrupt. There's no other words that I can describe it. The social system is corrupt. It's like playing dice. It's like playing dice.
Yeah.
You get it or you don't get it. You get it or you don't get it, Because you can have the conditions, the medical conditions, and they still deny you.
Yeah.
That's what I have to have to do good attorney because they don't care. They don't care.
Did you have the same judge, the same hearing judge, the first time as the second time?
No, because I have moved.
Okay.
I have moved.
Okay, gotcha. So let me ask you this. What was the toughest question that the judge asked you the first time around? And what was the toughest question that the judge asked you the second time around?
I'll be honest with you. The first time around with this judge, I told my attorney when I finished it, I said, this guy is going to deny me because the questions he was asking me and when he smirked in his face, he's going to deny me. Like, for example, he asked me about my heart pills. What color was the pills? How many times I take it a day? What doctor prescribed medications? Other doctors have prescribed it. And then he told me, like, with a smirking face, and being like rude. So Mr. Ramirez, when did you have this quadruple bypass? When I had a triple bypass, but I had 2 heart attacks and I had post-stent.
You had 2 heart attacks. Jeez. Wow.
He was asking me everything. Do you do laundry? Do you cook? Who cooks for you? Who does the laundry? How far can you walk? How long can you sit? He asked me all the questions that young leaders. He asked me every single question, and I answered him truthfully, and he still denied me. He asked me everything. All the questions that do you smoke? Do you drink? Everything. And I answered him truthfully. He asked me when I came to Puerto Rico, I came with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me 5 times, who is that person? 5 consecutive times. Like, who is this person? I'm telling you, that was just my friend. And, like, to me, that has something to do with my team. And I tell you, the judge is very tough on me. And I answered him truthfully because everything's on my medical files. And he's still denying me.
What was the difference between the first big box attorney you had and then the smaller, more custom attorney that you had that was local?
Well, the big box attorney, they got so many attorneys, and like it seems like they don't care like what happens to you really, because sometimes like the first time around, I had given them some medical records that they never even turned into Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Then I gave the medical records in person. I delivered them myself, and they never submitted them to Social Security.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And attorneys like Pryor, they're a little more caring,
Sure.
And they'll get back to you, they'll answer your calls. I mean, I'm surprised because I even go and I try to give you reviews that you give your time on purposely and your knowledge, because I don't think I would do it,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, good, sir. I can't wait if you do get a chance to update us in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. You get a chance to call back in. Please do, because people don't know what happens after people are found disabled once they receive their money. It just becomes a blank slate where they just don't know what happens in their life. And any guidance you can give them on programs you used, any guidance you can give them on things to watch out for would be worth its weight in gold,
Yeah. And I even went on the live videos for the hearings too.
Excellent. Excellent.
So that really helped me out a lot too,
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, good, sir. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish up the YouTube thing real quick. Thank you so much for calling in, and I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your information. Thank you for being there for everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, good, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so I just got a couple of texts from let's see. Okay, perfect. So what are some of the things? All right, let's do this. For the next video, the next live, if you guys want me to cover any particular topics, any custom video ideas, let me know. because it's easy for me to do quick kind of yada yada videos in this live session that are specific to what you guys want, than to go ahead and create a custom video and yada yada yada. Also, throughout this process, if you see something that I should improve upon with like the look of it, like I'm going to get rid of this windscreen and have an official blue, Baltic Latvia windscreen. But if you see things that I should use to improve the overall dynamic, we're going to be having a better backdrop. We're going to be having a better chair. We're going to be having a better logo at the bottom. We're going to be having better stuff in the future. But if you see something that I should be doing to improve it, I would greatly appreciate it, because I know that, and here's the big thing. First thing, I recognize I'm a younger attorney. Even though I'm not considered a young attorney anymore because I've aged out of that, I am a younger attorney, and I get that. And so most people don't want to go ahead and watch a younger attorney because, what am I supposed to know, yada, 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 right? Even though I've read just as much as all the rest. But the bottom line is, there's that identity issue. I also recognize that a lot of people, when they go into disability, they're just hoping their attorney will fix this for them. So I'm not sure how to reach out to those individuals if they even want to reach out to me. But I guess what I'm asking you guys is, how do I continue to grow this channel so that more and more people will get to see it, understand it, and have a good time with it? So let's see. I'm going to see if there's any other questions on here that I missed. Let's see. Dr. Spock, what kind of engine was it? That's the other thing too. But I'm sorry they went after the car. When I was living in my HOA, they went after every little thing they could. I had a gas can, like one of those little refill 5-gallon spiels that was out on the front yard area, like right next to the garage, and they threw a hissy fit over that. They were just always complaining about something at my HOA, which is why I am HOA free now. I live on an island and I love it. Okay, so disability wants third-party contact lists. So this is for Seether Roke. I don't have anyone who are not relatives. I don't leave my house unless relatives come and get me. I can't drive. They don't want relatives, not people. Okay, so third-party contact list form. They're looking for anybody that can give information relevant to you. And what they're saying is, hey, we want to know who we can send out a 3380 to, and also a third-party supplemental form to. Supplemental forms are like anxiety, pain, seizures, HIV, whatever. They're just a supplemental form specific to the impairments that you're claiming. So if you don't have any family members, see if you have a friend that can fill one out. But if you don't have anybody, notify them, because usually, here's the truth, those 3380s, those supplemental DDS forms are used to actually hurt you in the briefs, because those third-party people will give testimony. They'll say, oh, she can do this, she can do that, but she can't do this, but she can do this. Blah, blah, blah. They'll use those in the final ALJ brief to go ahead and deny you. So that's something to consider. Spock, I had a pit bull with a great personality, but the family didn't like her because she pooped everywhere and ate the walls. Yeah. So Layla did that too. Let's see what else. Okay, I don't see any additional questions at all. Okay, perfect. So with all that said, are video doctor appointments treated the same as in-office appointments? Okay, here's the thing. The SSA does not have enough time to, what did you post here? A picture of what? You pick up. That's my drink. That's my Arnold Palmer. All right, guys, let me do a quick sub thing here. Arnold Palmer drinks from Arizona. There is a holy grail. They don't sell it in most places. I'm right now negotiating with the local place up the street to go ahead and get more of it. They are the peach